But the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, you know? So you got to do things legal. And those people that are doing illegal things in America and that are foreigners, they are not smart. Because when you come to America, you're a guest. And you have to behave like a guest. When you become an immigrant, to think about, okay, I go to America because I want to use America for the great opportunities that America has in education, in jobs, creating a family, all of those kind of things. Then you have to think about, okay, if I get all of those things from America, then I have to give something back.
Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't just walk onto the View. He charged in like a man on a mission, eyes blazing with purpose and a message burning in his soul. The second he sat down, the air shifted like a thunderclap, crashing through a calm sky. The producers expected a friendly celebrity ready to charm the crowd, but instead, they got a fiery truth-teller who wasn't afraid to shake the room. From the very first moment, Arnold came armed with clarity and conviction, slicing through the polite fluff with bold, booming declarations. The hosts weren't prepared, not even close. They were bracing for light jokes and warm stories, but Arnold hit them with raw honesty and a relentless fire. He began with powerful gratitude. "I came to America with nothing, and look what I built," he boomed, silencing even Whoopi Goldberg with the force of his voice. And just when it seemed like a feel-good moment, Arnold twisted the narrative in an instant. He locked eyes with the panel and dropped a line so sharp it cut the air like a blade. "Immigrants must follow the law and respect the system that gave them a chance," he declared, and jaws dropped across the studio.
You are an immigrant. You're an immigrant in this country. Yeah. Did you have a visceral reaction to what they're doing, what ICE is doing, when you see the videos of it?
Well, I tell you, you said that the immigrant, I'm so proud and happy that I was embraced by the American people like that. I mean, imagine they came over here with the age of 21, with absolutely nothing. And then to create a career like that. I mean, in no other country in the world could you do that.
He said it without flinching, eyes locked on Sunny Hostin, who instantly froze like a statue in her chair. The room fell silent, thick with shock, as the audience wrestled between clapping or gasping. Arnold wasn't there to sugarcoat. He came to deliver the truth, raw and real, and he wasn't sparing anyone. Joy Behar squirmed uncomfortably, attempting to cut in, but Arnold surged forward like a freight train with no brakes. He laid it out plain. Being in America is a privilege, not a pass to break the rules. "If you're coming here, you follow the law, or don't come at all," he thundered, each word slicing through the noise like thunderbolts. The energy was electric, the audience hanging on every syllable. Whoopi tried to change the tone with humor, but Arnold shut it down instantly. He wasn't there for laughs. He was there for truth. "You don't trash the country that gave you everything," he declared, his voice rising like a wave about to crash. "You respect it, protect it, and give back." The blow landed hard. It was a gut punch that left the panel reeling. Sunny finally pushed back, arguing that immigrants were doing their best. But Arnold was already one step ahead, his voice cold and resolute. "I'm not talking about honest people following the process," he shot back like steel slicing through fog. "I'm talking about those who sneak in, break the law, and then demand rights." The studio was stunned. Some clapped, some sat frozen. But no one could deny the power of that moment. Arnold had taken full control, and the panel had lost the reins. Joy tried the old fallback. "Studies show immigrants commit fewer crimes." But Arnold didn't even "This isn't about stats. It's about respect for the law," he snapped like lightning tearing through the sky. Whoopi leaned back, speechless, arms folded and lips tight, realizing she'd just been outmatched by a man who didn't come to play.
Every single thing, if it's my bodybuilding career, if it's my acting career, becoming governor, the beautiful family that I've created, all of this is because of America.
That's true.
And so this is why I'm so happy to see firsthand that this is the greatest country in the world, and this is the land of opportunity. You have a responsibility as an immigrant to give back to America and to pay back to America and to go and do something for your community for no money whatsoever. Give something back to after-school programs, Special Olympics, or whatever it is. make this country a better place.
The entire room jolted when Arnold brought up the National Guard. Sometimes, he said with firm fire in his voice, you need to restore order before chaos takes over. And just like that, the studio went still as stone. Whoopi's posture snapped upright. She hadn't expected anyone to defend Trump's use of force on her stage, but Arnold didn't back down for a second. He pushed harder, feeding off the growing tension like it was fuel. The interview had turned into a battleground, and it was the view that suddenly looked cornered. With piercing eye contact, Arnold delivered a thunderous truth. Leadership means unity, not division, he declared. And Whoopi's smirk vanished in an instant. This wasn't a celebrity offering soft opinions. This was a former governor, speaking with experience, grit, and fire the panel couldn't match. When asked how he'd handle things if he were still governor, he fired back without hesitation. I'd work with everyone, local leaders, federal forces, and police, to clean up the chaos, not add to it. The dig at Gavin Newsom hit hard. Everyone in the room felt it. The crowd rippled with energy, reacting like a wave crashing through the set. Arnold leaned in, voice sharper than ever. You don't lead with slogans or protests. You lead by fixing the problems, not chasing the spotlight. The studio echoed with that line. It was impossible to ignore. Sonny tried to twist the moment with legal jargon, hoping to diffuse the heat. But Arnold wouldn't budge an inch. He pulled the conversation right back to the raw truth. And then, another blow. When you come to this country, you're not owed anything, you earn it. He boomed, each word landing like a hammer. Joy Behar's expression contorted in discomfort. This wasn't the script they had rehearsed for millions of viewers.
But the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, you know. So you got to do things legal, and those people that are doing illegal things in America and that are foreigners, they are not smart. Because when you come to America, you're a guest, and you have to behave like a guest. Like when I go to someone's house and I'm a guest, then I will do everything I can, keep things clean.
But by then it was too late. The words had already detonated like a cannon blast, shaking the entire studio to its core. Arnold didn't slow down. He powered forward with pride and thunder in his voice. America gave me everything: fame, success, opportunity. I didn't ask for shortcuts. I worked hard, I respected the system, and I gave back. The panel sat in stunned silence. No witty comebacks, no sarcastic jabs, just stunned expressions as Arnold's storm rolled through the set. He wasn't backing off. He leaned straight into the issue of accountability and fired off a truth that echoed like a war cry. Immigrants should give back, volunteer, and help build, not tear down. If you take from this country, you must give back. That's not about politics, it's about honor, he shouted. And the passion behind those words left Whoopi visibly rattled. She looked like she didn't recognize her own stage anymore. Arnold slammed down programs he's supported, people he's helped, communities he's lifted. Not just talk, but action. Then he flipped the narrative completely and dropped a direct challenge that cracked the air in half. Ask yourselves, what are you doing to make this country better? Complaining isn't contribution. And the silence that followed? It could have shattered glass. Sonny tried to regain footing, claiming most immigrants just want a better life, but Arnold didn't blink. They should follow the rules then, because if you break the law the moment you enter, how can you demand to stay, he asked, eyes locked on her like lasers, unflinching and firm. Joy, usually quick with a retort, had nothing. Her silence screamed louder than any words. And then, boom, Arnold fired off a final shot that cracked like lightning. You invite me here to talk, but only if I say what you want to hear. His voice cut through the air like a blade, and the crowd gasped. Some even erupted in applause. Arnold wasn't just calling out bias. He was smashing it right in front of them, live and unfiltered.
And to make my bed and to do everything that is the right thing to do rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that. So that doesn't really work in this country. So I think the important thing is when you become an immigrant, to think about, okay, I go to America because I want to use America for the great opportunities that America has in education, in jobs, creating a family, all of those kind of things. Then you have to think about, okay, if I get all of those things from America, then I have to give something back.
Arnold wasn't done, not even close. His voice ignited as he turned directly to the live audience and declared, This country deserves better than fake outrage and political games. The words exploded through the studio like a thunderclap, shaking every inch of the room. Whoopi's jaw dropped as the camera captured her stunned expression. She looked like the truth had just smacked her across the face. Then came the moment that shook the show's foundation. Arnold thundered, "You preach tolerance until someone disagrees with you, then it's an ambush." The set, once polished and calm, now felt like a full-blown battlefield. Joy leaned forward to cut him off, but Arnold calmly raised a hand and said, with cool control, "Let me finish. This isn't a soundbite. This is real." The room froze again as he dove into the dangers of silencing disagreement. "That's not discussion. That's dictatorship in disguise," he fired off, his conviction roaring louder than applause. The panel squirmed visibly. This was not the script they were used to, and Arnold had hijacked the narrative. He didn't need a teleprompter. His words came from the scars and grit of real life. He reminded the audience that America thrives on bold honesty, not fear-fueled censorship. Sonny scrambled to pull the conversation toward race, but Arnold held firm. "This is not about race. It's about respect for this country no matter where you come from," he snapped, slicing through the spin with razor-sharp clarity. He made it clear. He wasn't attacking immigrants, he was one of them. But he was done staying silent while others trampled the law. "Do it the right way," he declared. "You'll never regret following the rules, only breaking them." That line landed like a final strike, and it echoed deep in the crowd's minds. Then came the bombshell. Arnold pointed right at the show and said, "You all cheer when someone criticizes the right, but you panic when someone calls out the left." It was like he'd held up a mirror and dared Whoopi, Joy, and Sonny to look into it.
Keep things clean and to make my bed and to do everything that is the right thing to do rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that.
But don't forget, there's 90% of the people who come here are trying to do the right thing.
They're less likely to commit crimes.
And it's and a lot of what's happening right now is people are getting snatched who shouldn't be snatched out of the country, people who have visas, people who have all those things. So we want all the right people. We don't want people who are doing bad stuff.
But they are less likely, immigrants are much less likely to commit crimes in this country than actually American-born citizens. And the other thing I just wanted to say is that Governor Newsom did not ask for the National Guard to come to, the federal government to come to California. There are 9,000 local law enforcement officers in California.
And they couldn't dodge what stared back at them. Arnold came in swinging, and he wasn't pulling punches. "If you only invite people to talk just to silence them, that's not journalism, it's propaganda," he roared, his voice thundering across the studio like an earthquake. The audience erupted. Some cheered, some gasped, but all were completely glued to every word. The moment had transformed from a segment into a full-blown reckoning, and the view was the one on trial. Then, with a fiery gaze, Arnold turned straight to Whoopi and challenged her head-on in a way no one ever had. "You've had decades of influence. What are you doing with it? Are you helping people think or just telling them what to think?" The silence that followed was earth-shattering. Whoopi had no comeback, no glare, no joke, no defense. Arnold had seized the reins, and the panel looked like deer in headlights. He wasn't trying to humiliate them, he was waking them up. Every word he spoke came from raw experience, not empty rhetoric, and that's what made his voice impossible to ignore. He didn't rely on buzzwords or applause lines. He relied on truth that cut deep and stuck hard. Then, with a booming voice, he delivered a final challenge, not just to the hosts, but to every viewer across America. "You've heard their side, now think for yourselves." The crowd trembled with the power of that closing blow. Arnold stood tall, gave a calm nod, and walked off the set, leaving a stunned studio and a message that refused to fade. Behind the scenes, producers were scrambling to pick up the shattered pieces of control, but the truth had already blown through the walls like a hurricane. The internet went wild within minutes. Clips spread like wildfire. People couldn't believe what they'd just witnessed. Some dubbed it the truth grenade, the view never saw coming. Others called it the most real moment in daytime TV history.
If you were governor right now of California, how would you be handling the ongoing crisis that the state's facing?
Well, I think the most important thing is when you are in a leadership position like that, is that you are inclusive and that you work together with everybody. And so it means that you have to work together with local government, the state government, and the federal government. They have to work together rather than fighting each other. Fighting each other's agendas and all of that stuff. That doesn't do good to anybody.
Arnold's words didn't just echo, they ignited a wildfire across the country. Viewers weren't just clapping, they were standing up, shouting back at their screens, finally hearing what so many had been thinking for years. And while The View desperately scrambled to control the fallout, audiences saw right through the polished spin. The damage was done. Irreversible and unstoppable. Arnold had shifted the entire conversation about immigration, about law, about what it means to truly honor the American dream. He exposed the fake outrage, the staged victimhood, the phony narratives that had propped up the show for far too long. This wasn't about party lines, it was about truth versus theater. And Arnold, he chose truth every single time. No hesitation. Whoopi, Joy, and Sonny tried to smile through the wreckage, but their eyes told a different story. One of shock, disbelief, and a deep discomfort they couldn't mask. Arnold didn't insult or scream. He didn't have to. His power came from real experience, hard work, and the kind of plain-spoken wisdom that left no wiggle room. When the cameras wrapped, Arnold didn't wait for applause. He wasn't there for cheers. He stood proud, mission complete, message delivered. In mere minutes, he cracked open the media machine, exposed its double standards, and obliterated the emotional manipulation that had ruled daytime TV for years. They tried twisting his words, cornering him, shutting him down, but Arnold never flinched, never backed away. He stood taller than ever. And that's exactly why no one could stop him.
The National Guard is under the governor's supervision.
That's right.
Yeah.
But, like for instance, when the National Guard was sent to Iraq during the Iraqi war, I was not the one that said, oh yeah, go to Iraq. The Bush administration came and said, we need those people.
They came to you.
They came to us, and we need the resources, we need the equipment, we need the weapons, we need the vehicles to ship to Iraq, and then they ship
It's the
to
coordination.
Iraq. So
It's the
that's why I
coordination.
say it is very important that we work together.
Yes.
It doesn't matter who is asking whom. The bottom line is we work together in order to solve the problem.
Yeah.
And the public? They saw everything. Raw, real, and unfiltered. Millions of viewers, long exhausted by scripted Hollywood smiles and cowardly fence-sitting, finally witnessed someone speak with spine, heart, and brutal honesty. Even the critics were forced to admit, this wasn't just another guest appearance. It was one of the most unforgettable interviews to ever explode across daytime television. The ripple effect began instantly. Insiders whispered that producers might think twice before booking another guest like Arnold again, and that confession alone proved his entire point. They don't want authenticity, they want obedience. But Arnold didn't come to obey, he came to confront, to shake the walls, and to break the echo chamber live on air. He walked in as a guest but left as a wrecking ball of truth, a living example of what unshakable values look like in the face of media manipulation. The View tried to steer the narrative, but Arnold didn't just hijack the conversation, he rewrote the entire script right there in front of millions. He flipped the table, shattered the mask, and forced everyone watching to see what was really hiding beneath the performance. In the end, Arnold didn't just call out Whoopi, Joy, or Sonny. He ripped down the entire curtain on the act itself. And once the truth burst out into the open, there's no putting it back in the shadows again.